Hello, hello, all of our wonderful friends. I'm so excited to be joining you again on this amazing Monday evening. We are now springtime if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. So, congratulations. We've entered the era of allergies and sniffling and clogged noses where we're lying in bed thinking, wow, I really didn't appreciate breathing early enough in my life. So, that's okay. Whether you can breathe or not, at least you can see and you can hear our stream. And I'm so glad that you've decided to join us this evening. It's so wonderful to find ourselves week after week in a community, a space that welcomes wonderful, brilliant individuals in the gaming sphere, that we have the opportunity to hear one another, to support our stories, our adventures that we go on, and to learn more about each other's. We know within any community, it's great, one, to have people in it. That helps a lot, though I think I would join a community just made of dogs. But two, that it's a community based on wanting to learn, to listen, to empathize with one another. That's truly one where we build an understanding, a care, and a love for not only what we do, but who we do it with. And that's so important. There's so many things that we can do in life, but what makes it very memorable are those opportunities we get to collaborate, to share these experiences with others. And I'm so glad that we're here this evening. If you haven't already, make sure that you give the Pink Pixels, our wonderful Monday stream, a follow on the gameHERs channel. That's just right below. It's a sub that you can do, but you can also just follow, which is for free. And you'll get a reminder every Monday when we have amazing discussions like what we're going to have tonight. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and promise this. I don't know because I'm not a future reader, but I am fairly confident in saying that this is one of the most amazing individuals that we've had on this stream. You are going to have a blast. She's bringing a great amount of energy. She's incredibly personable and very likable. And let me tell you, you are going to absolutely be amazed with Trinity that we have this evening. So please, if you would all give me a warm welcome as we welcome our fantastic guest of this evening, Trinity.
I think the sweetest introduction I have ever had. Hi, I'm Trinity Nguyen. I am 18 years old. I go to Westlake High School. I am a senior this year. I'll be graduating. I got my start in esports when I was 16 as a social media intern under Lindsay Caudill at NB Gaming and Dallas Fuel. And now I am 18 working at OpTic Gaming under my boss Zach in sales and creative strategy. And so much has happened within those 2 years that it's mind-blowing. I am so beyond thankful that I could be sitting here as young as I am, and just to be able to talk and have this conversation with our wonderful Caustic Phoenix. Yeah, thank you so much.
No, we're so honored to have you here. And Trinity, I like that you mentioned, it's only been 2 years, but you've done so much in those 2 years. I was telling you earlier, there are people who are so envious of your position just to be able to be anywhere close to the gaming sphere that you are in, and you are in the midst of it. So I got to ask, at what point did you go, yes, I want to do this, and I want to do this now? Because especially, you're at high school, people are thinking, I'm going to go through college first, and then I'll think about a job. But you're like, no, here I am. It doesn't matter what age I am. I'm pursuing what I want to do. When did that start to really blossom in your mind?
I grew up always wanting to be with the boys or whatever, but it was more so in a sense that I just wanted to play video games. Mm-hmm. And I remember begging my parents to let me play Minecraft. I was like, it's not a first-person shooter game. I don't have to talk to strangers if I don't want to. Sure. And, it's very safe. It's meant for kids. Please, can I have Minecraft? And my twin brother, really enjoyed Minecraft for different reasons than I did, because I enjoyed the server aspect, just talking to strangers. Sorry, mom and dad. But he loved the building part, and they were like, okay, your twin brother likes Minecraft, and we'll finally shell out the money. It seems like you really want it. You've only been talking about this. You have it on your phone, or iPod Touch at the time, because I did not have a phone. And okay, here you go. Here's your first PC game. Mm-hmm. It was Minecraft. And I fell in love. I was playing it 24/7. I remember having Skype calls with my friends.
Skype.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I've been around way before Skype, but it just feels like now that's an ancient tool, doesn't it? Like,
It does. I'm like, I feel like I was a part of something very monumental in gaming, and I didn't even realize it.
Yes.
Look at that.
Back in my day, we used Skype.
Yeah. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
You guys know Discord now? No. But we used to play Minecraft. It was high pixel build battle.
Oh.
And I would play I first started off playing on my brother's Minecraft account because they only allowed to pay for one game.
Yeah.
And we shared the account. So it had a girl skin and a boy name. It was super fun.
That's fair trading right there.
Yeah. But we would film, and my friend on his MacBook Air would screen record and put it on YouTube. And I remember just being so invested in this. I was like, you have to tell the audience what's going on, keep them engaged. And I'm sure you can still find them on YouTube.
This sounds so precious. I love this. Also, like, talk about old school streaming right there. Like having somebody else hold like a MacBook Air to record your other screen. I don't know what the quality looked like, but I'm sure it was top notch.
Oh my gosh, sorry. It was the screen record. It was like
screen record of it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still.
So you could hear all the typing.
Yes, yeah. All the extra background noise.
Yeah. So wonderful. Peak. And I loved the video aspect of it. I loved playing this video game that I thought was so cool. And Minecraft really dominated my elementary school years because that's when it all came out. Not to make you feel old.
That's fine. That's already been established. But yeah, Minecraft is like the best starter game out there, like for anyone in terms of creativity and community. It's got so much, like I've got nieces and nephews. I'm like, yes, get into it. They're wanting to start to learn to code in there. I'm like, Minecraft's perfect for learning how to code. Do it. And then you'll find a bunch of YouTube tutorials to tell you how to learn and take it to the next level. So here you are, though, on the merge of where Minecraft initially started, where it's kind of exploding, and you in your youth also kind of having this moment together as you've grown together.
Yeah, definitely grown up.
Yeah.
Thank God that was not my actual Minecraft account, because I somehow got that account banned on Hypixel, and I'm not sure how. Anyway, but that's how I started to know I really enjoyed gaming, because I was spending so much time just wanting to create content, wanting to learn more about the video game world. I started hearing about like, forums and communities and joining different clubs that would alleviate your ability to play games and stuff. And I was like, I want to know how to do this. But of course I was too young. So I grinded Minecraft.
Yeah.
And when I hit middle school, I remember my parents were like, okay, you have to focus on your studies. And I was like, that's fair.
Right.
But a big part of me was always really into the idea of like coding in gaming, really learning the mechanics of it, because behind it all, there's just a wall of code. And my dad is a computer scientist. So it's a perfect way to learn.
Yeah. What a nice bonding experience too, I imagine.
I'm not that great at it. My brain doesn't work in the way that I think coding is supposed to work. But I remember sitting down with my dad and learning basic Python. And I remember this one teacher in my 5th grade year. I don't know if I can say her name, so I won't. But she saw how much I enjoyed Minecraft, and she was like, okay, I got the school to download it on our school computer lab PCs. We can make a Minecraft club out of this and get people involved. And I got to be a big part in like a leadership position to sort of kickstart that and keep it going. And it made me feel so seen by a teacher. She was a woman too, and she still encouraged me to pursue this. So instead of going to recess at 5th grade, I would stay in and play Minecraft.
That's amazing.
With my 2 friends.
I love that. Like, I imagine still like the idea, like we're just inside and we're learning about it. Like, I imagine this would be at a much higher level, right? We're learning how to code. We're having fun. We're playing video games on this. Like that kind of negotiation. Like fifth grade, fourth grade, like that. There's so many teachers who would think like, no, that's not an option. But it sounds like you've had so many people that have tried to find ways to say yes. Like, okay, you want to learn coding? Let's do some Python, right? It Listen, I'll be honest, I have not learned any coding. So it's another language. It is. Instead of students learning French and German now, they're just going to be learning Python and Java, which is universal in its own way, right?
Yes, yes. Oh my, it's like learning a new language. It really is.
It is. It is. But you have, not only when people open the doors, right, you've taken that choice to walk through them. I mean, it's probably tempting sometimes to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out and play with my friends instead of stay inside and look at the computer screen. Now that I say that out loud, I don't know what any gaming nerd would ever pass up that opportunity. So maybe I should take that back. Like, there was no option. I'm going to play Minecraft.
The fact that I was able to even get it on school premise felt like I was the coolest kid. I was so cool.
Yes.
And I remember still to this day, I would have some friends tell me like, I remember seeing you in the computer lab playing Minecraft. And I was like, yeah, I know.
Remember that.
Yeah.
And when I see like even Mango T in chat's like, your elementary school had a Minecraft club, like that's so unfair because it's so nice to have a space where you can have shared activities together. Like you see soccer clubs out there, you see chess clubs out there. Minecraft is just as much of a game where you build, you create. It's wonderful for brilliant minds to be a part of. And here you are, you're like, yes, we had this. It was just you and your friends, but it was a starting point, darn it. And it really became a cornerstone in the rest of your gaming career.
It did. It allowed me to find something that I was passionate about. And at the time, it wouldn't be known to me as a passion, but when I've been so lucky to have so many supportive teachers and people of authority who have opened these doors. The fact that there are people out there that encourage younger kids to pursue their dreams, however silly or, it's a video game, right? Oh, how useful is that really going to be? Doesn't matter because there's still potential to, code, make a community, and all of this. Words cannot describe how endlessly thankful I am because it's the reason I'm here today. And my esports journey, when I found out that when we went into quarantine, and Twitch became a huge thing with the Among Us thing, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make my childhood like feel so validated.
Yes.
Because I used to watch 5UP streams all the time, every single day. There was not a single VOD that I hadn't watched to its entirety. I was obsessed. I loved the content creator vibes. And I was like, this reminds me of something I wish I could have done.
Yes.
And then I learned about esports orgs through that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is sick. And I never thought in a million years that I could do that. I mean, as far as esports go, I don't know a whole lot about the history of it. I'm still learning myself.
Well, you're living it right now. Let's be honest. Esports hasn't been around a very long time, especially in the United States. And so you are a part of how esports is growing up. Like it's still like figure like, is this the right way that we want to do tournaments? How do we have regulations? What do teams actually look like and contracts and payments? And how do people in the non-gaming space sponsor and watch and engage? And so you are all part of this bridge as we gap all of this that's been missing right now.
And that's crazy because never in a million years would I think I would have the capability to do that, to feel like what I'm doing matters in the world, in just the community, the friends that I've made, the people that I've met, the experiences that I've had are so. Just thinking about it just makes me overjoyed because I'm living it. I'm enjoying it. It's a passion of mine that I can also use as a tool to meet other people and contribute to, really.
Right. Right.
It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real. I remember the first social post that I made. I
Did
I
you
was
save
just
it? Do
sitting
you
there.
print it out and frame it? You should.
I
You should.
Someone's gonna walk in and be like, "What is this meme
Listen,
on your wall?"
moments are important to capture. When we hit benchmarks, like we forget so often when we're running forward to celebrate the accomplishments we have. I hope that you did bookmark it or saved it somewhere, because 20 years from now you're going to forget and you're going to accidentally stumble across it, and it's going to make your day remembering, like, this is one of the very first steps that I took within this space.
I have the screenshots of all of the pre-making of it. I was like,
Good.
okay, I have to find the template.
Yes.
And I have to find a good font.
Yes.
And I thought so long and hard about making a meme that I was like, I'm passionate about this in a way that I want to put out good work, so I can look back on it in the future. And not only that, in terms of looking for a memory purpose, but also from a perspective of, wow, I've grown so much since that first landmark.
Sure. I mean, and you will. You've already done so much since then. So let's talk about where you are now. We've seen a little bit of, like, okay, starting in the Minecraft, growing, one door opens to another. What is this esports thing? What's going on in this space? Tell us about your current position, this internship that you're at that you are changing the world from.
Oh, that is so sweet. When OpTic and Envy merged, I wasn't too sure about what my new role position would look like.
Yeah.
And
merges are terrifying. No matter where you're at, you're like, is my job still going to be here? Who's staying? What's the leadership actually going to look like? Sorry, keep going.
No worries. Yes, I had a lot of questions. And at the time I was like, whatever happens, the fact that I'm even here and this is something I'm worrying about is pretty darn cool. Like,
yes.
I guess, yeah. And I guess being on the team, like what you said earlier, age doesn't play such a big role as one would think. And to me, that's so invigorating because I can provide a very Gen Z outlook on how, like, I perceive the esports community and the esports world and these games to much older professionals, and actually have my voice being taken seriously, which is insane because, again, no one has to listen to what I have to say. I don't have to be here, but I am, and people find value in what I have to say, and that their belief in me makes me, like, really want to just delve deeper. I love the psychology aspect of an audience. I remember when the whole Twitch thing happened during the pandemic, I was like, this is so fascinating because you're seeing a new generation sort of appear where they're always on their phones and they're always on their laptops because they have to be, but now they're finding entertainment through people playing games together because they can still have that social connection even though we're all stuck inside. Yes. And I think that aspect of community is so cool, and that is something I want to strive for, something I want to help contribute to in any way I can. Heck, thank you, Jesse. That is so sweet. And people like Jesse and Hi Pistachio and everyone and hi, sorry. They're so wonderful. The fact that they support me and uplift me and believe in me is really what I feel like is keeping me so changing the industry, because I wouldn't be able to do that without them. If they're the people that listen to what I have to say, because if I'm just saying things for the heck of saying things and no one's listening, I wouldn't be changed.
Yeah.
No, definitely not fun either.
Great. Well, this really highlights something that is very important whenever we see individuals being lifted up or success anywhere, like at a company, in a community, is that there are two key parts of it. One is that there are people that are opening doors and lifting others up, like they're reaching out and they're pulling up. But two, individuals, especially like yourself, that are saying, I'm ready. I've got things to say. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity, and seeing the value and believing in the value of your own voice. Because that's important. There's plenty of times you're like, oh, well, I'm young. I have nothing to value. Or I'm just, I'm not going to make an impact yet. Right? We come up with a million excuses, and that leaves opportunities hanging. But you saw those and you took the time, the effort, right? Like you're in high school. There's a million other things that could be going on in high school right now. It's been too long for me. I don't remember. But right, like the work and thinking about progressing in this fashion, it's not always top of mind. But you saw these and you're like, I'm going to apply for this. I'm going to carry through. I'm going to show up at this meeting, and I'm going to, instead of just sitting back and listening and taking notes, I'm going to say something. Right? There are options where you didn't have to do anything and you chose to do something. That's amazing. That takes confidence. That takes bravery. Where do you find that in yourself? You're like, yeah, you know what? I've got a great idea. The idea themselves, whatever, but you trusted in yourself. And I think that is wonderful. And one of those elements that showcase that not only do you have brilliant ideas, but you know who you are.
That is so sweet. I'm about to say I don't feel like that at all. Oh, okay. But I do know that it's the imposter syndrome that seeing my mom. Sure. My mom, who is a political refugee from Vietnam, who came here when she was in the 3rd grade, didn't know English, had nothing but clothes on her back, to come here and graduate valedictorian of her high school class, go to UT on the pre-law track, and get her, her lawyer degree, and just be such a badass woman who is not afraid to speak up in situations, but also finesse social situations in a way that is still kind, but you can tell that she's a confident woman. Yes. I take so much note from her. Down to the mannerisms. I wore her jacket today
I love that.
To feel like her.
Your mom is an inspiration. I think this is fantastic.
She's so wonderful. She's taught me the importance, because every single time I feel like shrinking down and doing, my voice doesn't matter. And she says, just ask. It's the worst they can say is no.
Yes.
And you'd rather live knowing the answer to that than wondering what would happen if I had asked that. But now you do know, because you did ask. And that's huge. So I love my mom for that. She's such a badass woman. And oops, sorry, Mom, that was a bad word.
Can say it here. That's okay. No. But I think this is really important, because you've taken that energy, that inspiration that your mother has provided you to be that person who's like, you know what? I'm not going to have those regrets. I'm going to ask those questions. Even if I don't feel or trust myself, I'm going to do it anyway. And that's being good to yourself. And it has clearly transferred. I see in chat, so many people saying how much they love you, that you're their inspiration. And that's so wonderful to see, of this impact that you started to have within your space. I assume they all know you to some degree.
I do recognize their names. I'm like, hi, David. Hi, Sherry.
But that's a telltale sign that they respect what you've been doing. You don't get inspired from people that you're like, why are they even here at this table, right? They respect you because you have built yourself to be somebody who is inspiring, who knows what they're doing, who can really make changes. And that's fantastic. So what is it that you do? Let's say that.
I really work alongside on the pre-sale side, where it comes down to the getting sponsorships and partnerships, and I get to really sit in on the meetings and watch as I learn about, okay, so that's how this industry of sales works. You need to have a deck. You need to understand what you're pitching. You have to understand price points, and that is something that it helps me understand the world a lot better, because this job for me is a lot of, I get to contribute with making decks and in sitting in brainstorms and coming up with ideas, and sometimes even reaching out on the marketing or socials aspect. It's so much overlap that I get to really see the inner workings of how a well-oiled machine runs, and I get to feel like I can help with that by providing my input, providing my creativity, and providing my voice.
Kudos, first of all, to OpTic for making sure like that we value everyone's opinions and insights. Because we hear stories all the time like, oh, I was an intern or I was entry level, and so they didn't really care what I had to say, or I didn't get invited to meetings. And so that, first of all, nicely done. We need more internships that offer that degree of real value. But gosh, that's so amazing that you get to be a part of so many different levels, that you're seeing the internal conversations to where it takes it externally to these comms, to the actual players, you know, how you're communicating, the social media posts that are going out, the activations within these that were discussed from the pitch decks. You know, you get to see all of it from beginning to end, and you get to be a part of it. What's your favorite thing to do?
I love watching the fans' reactions to when some like a new sponsorship drops. Like, I'm like, I knew about this. I was there. I was helping a little bit with it, and now I get to see everyone go wild over it, see the reactions, and seeing it actually play out from something that was on a Google Slides to actual human beings, and something that does like make revenue is so surreal to me, because I feel like I was there when it happened, and I saw it when it first was like nothing, and now it's this huge big thing, and it makes me remember that it really helps me see the impact that I can have on people in the community, and how much being a part of like OpTic has allowed me. I love having my meetings with Zach. You
don't have to say that. You don't have to say that.
It's true. You mentioned earlier how how I was able to get into those meetings. Again, it was because I had Zach and Lindsay and all of these wonderful people take a chance on me. And that is really just, that's so much that I can ask for. I'm forgetting the question. I'm gonna gush because the community that I'm surrounded by, the people that believe in me and treat me like people, like a person with something that is valuable, is so surreal, because again, they don't have to, but they do, especially in this crazy, super daunting industry, especially as a woman, and an Asian woman at that, and a young woman, all of these things.
We're just adding a few more things, aren't there, each time? This is
fun, so fun.
Yes. But let's break that down a little bit more, because I think you're absolutely right. Like, we know in some spaces the gaming community, or even just the world, right, isn't always friendly, especially when you have so many of those layers in place. It can make it hard. There can be walls, doors that feel locked, right? And you said it's so wonderful to be in a community, a space where people respect you as a human being, that they see value that you have. I want you to describe, like, call out some of those behaviors, because we hear all the time, like, companies like, we're trying to lift each other up. But what does it actually mean to lift other people up? Like, what does that actually look like to say, yeah, we value their voices? What does that mean to you, especially in a space like OpTic, where they have done this, where you feel like, I'm not just like this short-term intern that's going to bounce after this. They are investing in me. What has made that feel like those roots are really digging deep?
That's a good question.
I mean, for companies that are probably like, how do we do this? How do we make our space feel welcoming? Whether they're an intern or a project manager or a director, like anybody who comes in, how do we make them feel like, yes, their voices are heard? And it could be anything. Like, sometimes we even forget how important it is just to have somebody look at you and make eye contact with you. Especially, I don't know if you are, I'm short. So when people have a tendency to look directly over my head, it's easy to do. Most people do. Like, it's literally not hard. I'm 5 foot. So most people are definitely taller than that. And you could beat it by 3 inches, right? To look over my head entirely. So if you're
Yeah.
5'4", you could easily never make eye contact with me in my life. But, it's funny how little behaviors like that are the starting points to saying, yes, I've actually been seen. Somebody could say that they saw me in this meeting because they actually looked at me. And I feel like that's a silly thing to say, but I've sat in board meetings before where I haven't even been saved a seat. Like there's not enough seats. And so I'm sitting in a corner and they assumed that I was there taking notes. And I'm like, I was the one presenting. It's like,
Yes.
no.
Yes. It's like, hey.
Yes.
Especially because I think sometimes sticking up for yourself, it can make you seem, oh, she's a bit of a bitch.
Yes.
But I think the way that it's done at OpTic is so wonderful because
Mhm.
it's never really mentioned that I'm a woman in the room.
Mhm.
It's not about, oh, here's what the woman has to say. I'm treated like a normal employee. I'm valued. Answering your questions without
Oh, you're
rambling too
good.
much.
Let's see if it kicked back on. Are we good? There we go. Let me bring this up over here too. Hi, everyone. We're back. We're back. And it's working. Hello. Sorry. OBS. OBS. Uh, but you were in the middle of saying how they treat you just like every other employee. Let's pick up from that.
Yes. I mean, the first brainstorm I ever attended
Mhm.
was, I remember Zach he told me, hey, come, we're gonna do something. I want you to be part of it. And I was like, oh shoot,
Mhm.
okay. And I sat there and they were just throwing ideas around. It was super chill.
Mhm.
And at one point I was like, okay, I'm gonna speak up because I have an idea about this. Kind of scared, but I'm gonna do it.
Mhm.
And I spoke up and they were like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Explain more what you mean. It wasn't, ooh, the woman is talking, or
Who's this intern
okay.
here?
Yeah. But they were just sort of like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, tell me about it. And it eased so much stress over my presentation and how I talked or how I talk with my hands or speak or where that didn't seem relevant to them
Mhm.
because it wasn't. And that is so liberating because I think on one hand we definitely have to acknowledge the fact that women are kind of a minority, just kind of in the gaming space.
Yes.
But it's also, on the other hand, we take that and we can either, like, I don't want to feel like I'm being only heard of because I'm a woman,
Mhm.
because that would make me feel equally as like, oh,
Yeah.
would this, am I really being heard or am I just being listened to?
Kind
Or
of
what?
appeased at that end. Like, okay, now you've had your
Right.
moment. Check that off the list. We've done our diversity endeavor.
Yep. Yep. There we go. That's it.
Yep.
But the fact that I'm treated just like a normal human being is so wonderful.
Mhm.
It's so underrated.
Yes. I think that's a really excellent point that you make because and it also shows that they've built it well within this space that it feels normal. Right?
Yes.
Like they don't have any big reaction like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's work on this. Let's talk about this or tell me more about this. Right? That it's such a fluid experience where it's just understood like anybody of course is welcome to offer. It's just understood. And that's the point where a lot of companies are still unfortunately trying to get to that position where it's just understood with everyone that yes, this is how we function, right?
Yes, absolutely. And Erin, she is such a badass. She's our SVP, and she treats us normally, and also behind the scenes is hyping us up.
Mhm.
The women on the team going like, "Yeah, we got this," and this is a thing we're gonna do, and who knows how it's gonna be, but hey, go women. And that is so wonderful. The environment that's created by other women too is another empowering thing, because it makes me feel like I can come out of that scared shell of coming off as either like a bitch or she's weird, but just like, I don't know how I'm perceived, but having other people support me regardless of that and encouraging me. Thank you. The family that OpTic and Envy and Fuel has given me is, I feel so loved always.
I think you make a really good point of how key it is to have individuals who can empathize, not just sympathize, but empathize with your experience, right? It's one thing because there's wonderful mentors across the board, right? Zach, who's bringing you in, like, right, we've got great leaders on this. It's also another thing when you have individuals like, I've been there, like, yes, you know, it's really funny. And I hear this consistently across the board with women, like the imposter syndrome's real with a lot of people, right? But then we tend to go that extra level of like, are they perceiving me as being too mean? Did I say that too sharply? Should I offered a few more apologies in my email? Like, oh, I'm so sorry to interrupt your time, but I've got a question, when it's like, hey, I've got a question. You should just only be able to have to post the question and no apologies are needed, right? Like that would be the assumption. But we put so many things of like, did I come across as too soft? Did I come across as too weak? Is it seeming bitchy on that, where we have to almost over correct ourselves? And it's good to have somebody there to be like, no, you don't have to do that. Or you were doing great. Just to reconfirm as we learn to navigate and present ourselves. I'll even share an example. However old I am, right? Still getting imposter syndrome in spaces, or just anxiety. Like, am I overthinking situations? I had a wonderful, wonderful supervisor, and she would set up meetings and she's like, hey, just so you know, you're not getting fired. I just have an opportunity for you that I'd like to take advantage of. I know you're probably going to overthink this, but don't worry, it's good things, right? Like, she knows how I'm going to respond. She knows the internal dialogue, because she has that internal dialogue that goes, oh, what is this unscheduled Friday afternoon meeting that I'm having? So
oh my gosh.
No one just has like a random Friday afternoon meeting on that end where you don't panic a little bit without knowing exactly what it is. So, right. So it's so nice to have individuals who can see where you're at and be like, I know where the potential internal dialogue is going on right now. So that way, when you end your work, you can actually end your work and take a mental break from it.
Yes. And being able to communicate that to other people and them picking up on that and being receptive and accepting is wonderful, because you're being vulnerable by admitting, hey, I don't feel super confident about this and I'm insecure. Is this meeting something reflecting badly upon myself? And seeing someone being able to call that out, point that out, and go, hey, I totally get where you're coming from. And here's why I said what I said, is that level of deeper communication that it's so needed. It's so wonderful that that can happen, because like, we're all human at the end of the day. If we can take that humanity and relate to each other in that sense, I think the environment that we can create is so, and we already have created like that. It's, I love the fact that I can just talk about whatever to my coworkers like they're my friends, because they are my friends. And in turn, the work that I do, I feel more comfortable doing it, because I know that when I have a doubt about something, this person is my friend too. So they do care about me.
Yes. It's coming from a place of trust, of respect, and you're like, yes, we can have these honest conversations. And when you tell me these things, I can believe you.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But this is really, these are a lot of work experiences that people to any age will experience. There's that doubt, there's that trying to build connection, there's that loyalty towards those that of the work that we're creating. That's hard to find within a space. And here you are already checking that off your list. It's just not fair. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you don't have to go through all of it. No. But let's talk about in this, Because the gaming space isn't always that wonderful. Like even within the Minecraft servers, there are spaces with individuals who are less than awesome.
Oh yeah.
How have you managed to keep that out of impacting you? Like, you can't keep it out of your life entirely, especially within the gaming space. If you're working within it, there's going to be somebody who comments something on a tweet and you're like, why did you even post that? How do you keep going past those moments? Where do we continue to find that inspiration, to find trust in ourselves, to find trust in the brilliant work that we've done?
I won't lie, it's definitely got to me. There's some times where I'm like,
I appreciate the honesty. Yeah.
The sexist comment made is,
Yeah.
it's like I internalize that and go, is what they're saying true? Because I feel hurt by this, and
Right.
what does that say about me? And am I really a da 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 da? And then I look inwards and go, that's not fair to me, because the comment that was made, it would, like 9 times out of 10 would not have been made if I was a dude.
Yeah. Yes.
It's not fair. That's, come on now. Give me the slack like a normal human being. And the mean things that you have to say, you hold. I believe that, especially in video games, when I was playing Minecraft, I was never the best at PvP. So that discouraged me. Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to get better. And I remember my friend, he was super good at it. And I was like, I don't want to play this game if you're not playing with me, because I don't want to get called mean things.
Yes.
And he was like, doesn't matter. Just come play with me. And, just I took that as a sign of like, okay, he doesn't seem bothered by it because his skill is good. I have to get good. I just have to get good. Really. Yeah. Because, and it's sad to say that women are really only respected in the industry if they have such a high level of accomplishment. I think a woman, for example, like if a woman streams on Twitch, even as, like, let's take Pokimane. She's successful in a sense that she is great with her audience. She knows how to engage. She knows she's a businesswoman, and that's awesome. And yet there are still people at the end of the day who are like, haha, women, that's the only reason she's famous.
Yeah.
And like, she's hardworking.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be hardworking. I don't want anyone. You can say all you want about me as a woman or whatever that means to you. But for me, I know that only fuels me to work even harder and to be even better. And
yes,
I'm sort of avenging
like
that hurt that I felt.
You're like, yes, yeah. Watch me rule the world.
Yes. It makes me angry that that's a standard women have to deal with, something that they can't control. Because, if you're a woman playing a video game and you're bad, it's because you're a woman, not because you're bad at the video game.
Yes.
Whereas if a man is bad at a video game, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But if a woman, see, she's so bad. And even when I do play video games, like I've started playing Valorant, and I'm not the best, but every single time I'm not good, I'm like, I'm disappointing women. I'm letting down the whole spectrum of what it means to be a woman.
Yes.
And I failed. But then I'm like, if a man were to be in my position of bottom fragging,
yes,
they would still have the confidence in themselves to know that they can do better, or it's just a bad day. And I want to sort of emulate that by going, nothing to do with a woman. And if anyone says it's because I'm a woman, I can't control that.
No.
Other than getting better at the game or doing better, finding ways to prove myself, which is kind of sad that I have to feel like I have to prove myself.
Right.
But I'm still young. I think I'll eventually learn to handle it in a super cool girl boss way.
Yes. Yes.
But taking it right now as fuel to do even better and to keep working on myself and also my video game skills. It gives me something to look forward to and to work for.
I like that. I like that you've transformed this energy of negativity to power yourself, because that's hard to do. And I get, like, You're like, maybe one day. But honestly, like, it's this constant thing. And when you're somebody who cares about the community, when you care about the game and you put the effort to share it with others, whether it's live stream or you're just playing with others, or it's even like, you've got other people on your team and you're like, I just don't want to disappoint them at this point. Yes. Right. Like, it's just, there's these odd pressures that we pull in and try to figure out whose voices matter when it comes to me telling the story about me. Right? Like, it's hard. I like, even on my stream, like, when people show up, I'm like, listen, don't come here for good Destiny gameplay. We're going to have a good time. And I don't think I'm a bad player, but also I don't care if I'm a good or bad player. There are some nights where I rock the PvP side. And then there are many, many more nights where I don't. But it doesn't matter good or bad, because that's not why I'm playing the game. I don't care if I'm playing the game because I work a 9 to 5, and the game in the evening is my way to have fun with friends. As long as I'm having fun with friends, that's my objective. Even heck, if my objective was to win a game and so I can level up more, that's my story for what me and what I want for my space. It doesn't matter what you think about it. Right? Like, but that's so hard to tell, because when we care about what other people think, and certain people we do care, it's fair. That's hard to balance. That's where that struggle, like when you open the door a little, how much do we open it?
Yes. And I bet that mentality that you were talking about of like, well, I don't care. Mm-hmm. Was that a learned mentality that you have to, you had to sort of strengthen within yourself?
Oh, much like you, I still care.
Yes.
I have to tell. That's that internal dialogue where we have to talk to ourselves and like, no, remember, Caustic, you don't actually care. Right? Like, that's where you have to keep reminding yourself, and it's good to check in. I think we see this a lot of individuals who work really hard, right? Yourself, where we work and we work hard and we're proud of what we do. And where we've gotten, we like to say it's because of luck. We like to come up with like, oh, it's because other people open doors. And part of it, yes, those are variables. But there are also really important variables that, you know what? I win those games because I've learned the mechanics of the game. I've put hours into investing in getting this character done. I got this internship because I'm freaking talented and I know what I'm talking about, right? We have these conflicting dialogues in our head that all of them do exist. The question is, which one do we actually want to listen to? And which one do we allow to continue to be repeated? It's okay sometimes because it happens. Like, it's hard not to have those, like, did they hire me just because a woman? Because unfortunately, that has happened in some places where they are just looking to do their diversity hire, right? Like, oh, so we can say like, oh, good. We've increased our women employment by 2% this year. Ooh. No way. Just like milk. Okay. Not impressed. Not impressed at all. That end, we want more. And so we have to ask ourselves, okay, maybe I had that thought, but that's the thought that I can say, that's not right. I can scratch it out. I can throw it out, and I don't have to hear it again, because I know I was hired because of other things. And even if I feel delusional at times, because I am, I at least have other people in my life that I care, and I know they're doing good work, can come back to say, yes, I'm also here. Like that, those are the individuals you have at OpTic to help, like, even if you feel delusional, they do good work. And if people who do good work say that about you, you're in good company.
Yes. Oh my goodness. When I see these people that I look up to, I could list so many people right now, and like,
this is not the Oscars.
I'll start with my boss.
That's already happened. Which, cheers also to Everything Everywhere All at Once and the amazing Asians who just rocked it. Anyway.
Yes.
Did you cry? Because I cried.
I cried. I was watching Ki Hui Kwan's speech, going, Mom, Dad, his story is just like yours. Yes. He was on a boat, and they were like, yeah.
Same. Yes. It was such a beautiful story. Anyway, but yes, you could thank people. But I like what Holy Toledo is saying. Like, luck without preparation is a missed opportunity. You prepared time and time again. You are ready. Like, even tonight, wearing your mom's jacket, right? Like, you prepared for this. There's no surprise that you know what you're talking about. You know how you want to present yourself because you've thought about it. You've worked on it.
Maybe overthought it a little bit sometimes.
That is a habit of brilliant, smart individuals who like, yes, I work really hard. And we think over it again, and then we think about it again, and then after it's done, we think about it 12 more times.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I'll be thinking about it while I'm trying to fall asleep at night, which of course is at an unreasonable time because I convince myself that there's still time left in the day to do things, and 1 a.m. is a normal bedtime.
So
it's not.
Let's talk about your schedule, because for some people, like when they're in this space, they're like, this is a full-time job for me. You are also a full-time student. What does your schedule look like as you are already doing school during the day, which you cannot cop out of, like peace out, can't do that. How do you manage all of your time?
It's so funny. I take a lot of my meetings during school.
Your teacher's like, cool, go for it. You schedule like, we can do this brand meeting, but it has to be during my study hall.
Yes, I'll be in art class. It's gonna happen tomorrow because it happens every Tuesday. I'll be in my art class and I'll have my camera turned on and I'll be like, okay, hi, and it's like, Trinity, is that your teacher in the background? I'm like, don't worry about it. Yeah, they're like, you're in school right now, and I'm like, irrelevant.
Yeah, it's great. I can pull some people right here as they walk by.
Yes, and sometimes you can see people like, what is she doing in the back? But I take a lot of it at school. I'm so thankful that my boss is also super flexible to work with hours that are outside of, my school lets out at 4:15, which is a very specific time and very late. Yeah. And I don't usually get home until like 5:30. And, that's pretty late. Most people are going home around that time. They don't really want to have to sit and engage with a high schooler who has a lot of questions. But Zach will stay up until like wee hours just talking with me. And that, sort of going back to the previous question, is that's how I know that what I have to say is like, there's got to be merit to that, because no one in their right mind would stay up past work hours, past their sleep schedule, if they didn't believe in me. Yes. And and the fact that like they see me taking it during school and go, okay, yeah, that cool. It's like, it makes me really excited and happy that I'm privileged enough to be able to like, hang on, I'm in a meeting. And things worked out this year where it actually didn't become such an issue while I would have to take one while the teacher is like teaching, which is super nice. Yes. But I'm constantly on Twitter. I spend a lot of time on that app to make sure like I keep updated. I learn what's going on because esports never sleeps, and to stay on top of things it feels like a full-time job within itself.
Yes, it is. People do that as, yes, it is a full-time. You are doing all of that.
Yes, and the difficulty in some weird way makes it all more exciting because I have to work for this. I have to put in conscious effort, and that effort is going to pay off. Even if it's in the middle of my art class.
It's fine. Art is already an inspiring place. It's where you are that helps foster more ideas.
Exactly.
It works out.
And yeah.
That's so wonderful though. And again, like you do a lot. You are not where you are by accident. This is very purposeful. You found ways to make it work because again, there are plenty of people like, listen, I can't apply for this internship. I have school, right? That's a challenge. That is like, that's not like a light step. Like that's a huge barrier. Yeah, you basically are doing two full-time things. School's full-time, you're coming back, and then you're trying to work on this internship. That's full-time. That's a lot to juggle. How do you replenish your energy? You are energized. Let's be clear. Like you have energy. You are giving me energy. You are a bubbly person. You're a delight. Like this is re-energizing me. How do you offer so much? How do you continue to be able to recharge yourself so you can provide so much else?
Oh my goodness.
What is your
The funny thing is
secret?
I don't feel that way.
Okay. How do you do it?
No. I definitely, and this is a little silly thing. Definitely coffee.
Fair.
Don't ask me what I put in it. No, I'm kidding. There's ketchup. Yeah. No.
I don't know which one of you is gross, but that's disgusting either way. I just want that to be known. Coffee with ketchup. Shame on you both for either encouraging or reading that aloud, both of you. Shame and disgusting. That's what you should be feeling right now. Okay, so besides the coffee with potentially ketchup in it, right? What else? How are you this way? Because it's wonderful, especially when, let's be real, this pandemic and post-pandemic, still pandemic era where we're returning but not really returning, we're doing all of this. Exhaustion has been a common thread through so many individuals, even through the things that we love. It's so easy to feel burnout about the passion projects that we've created, the people and relationships that we felt excited about. How do you keep this up?
I think about the people who are believing in me. As cheesy as that sounds, it's
It's okay.
it's also the fact that my parents, both of them, are political refugees from Vietnam. They both came here not knowing English, and now I get to go to an amazingly like super high class high school. I have the privilege to be able to choose which colleges I can apply to, whether that be in state or out of state. I I see that they've sacrificed so much for me to be here,
Mm-hmm.
and that I'll never fully understand that. I will never fully understand someone's struggle because it is theirs that they personally live through. But if I can elicit a feeling of joy, compassion, or empathy in this crazy, exhausting world, right? We're all trying to get through it. And even in professional settings, at the end of the day, we go home back to our house and we are human. And I want to harness that humanity and bring it and encourage that because I if I can make someone feel more comfortable about being themselves around me,
Mm-hmm.
that gives me energy to know that I'm at least making someone's life easier, even just by a little bit. And in turn, that reminds me that I have things that I can do to make this world a better place. And I I love that. I want to look at world in a way that doesn't make me cry myself to sleep every single night because it's hard. Struggling with, being a teenager, and of course, I I feel like I don't particularly talk about it a lot, but I definitely do struggle with depression and anxiety, and because of that, it's 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 so difficult to tell myself these things that the world is, while it can be soul crushing, there are still reasons that people live. What is the meaning of life? Like Everything Everywhere All at Once, that
Yes.
movie
Still
hit.
coming back. It didn't.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Seeing the way
Yes.
people view life and how they get through theirs,
Mm-hmm.
because we all struggle. We all have struggles. For real, for real. And seeing how they manage that and how they deal with their insecurities, because we all have insecurities. We all have things we're not confident about. But how do we manage that? How does every individual go about getting back to waking up that next day feeling at least somewhat back on track? I want to learn about that. I want to hear that. I want to make them feel heard because it helps me, and I want to provide like a comforting space
Mm-hmm.
for people because I want that for myself too. I want to be able to be comfortable. I don't want to have to worry. um, yeah.
I think that's absolutely lovely. I think that's a wonderful way to showcase your perspective. And I appreciate your moments of vulnerability in that and sharing what you're going through and your experiences through this and what you want from it. And that's important to have. one of the most important things that motivates us is knowing why we're involved in this. What is it that we're doing this towards? And you have such a lovely idea of connection, of humanity. I agree with Lawyer. You are a rock star. Recently, we had somebody on the stream, Escalia, Callie Scales, absolute delightful human being. And she noted something that was very important that really kind of talks to this world. And I think eventually I'm going to make the connection to you, I promise. Stick with me.
Absolutely, yeah.
Stick with me on this.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Thank you.
Full.
Thank you. If I have a tendency to wander, right? But she made the note that, especially today, that when you are trying to talk to gamers, you're talking to everybody. To some degree, people play games, even if it's not always video games. Like sometimes it's like when we think even video games, they're mobile games. Like my mom she's a gamer. She plays so much Candy Crush. She's a gamer.
There it is. Yep,
She would never call herself a gamer, but she's a gamer. Okay. She's
Yes.
playing
My mom
Sudoku
loves
on
her
phone.
word cookies.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
You're a gamer, okay? Right? Everyone is a gamer. Like when you're saying like I want to talk to gamers, like you're talking to everyone now. Everyone is in this space because games have that opportunity to reach us no matter where we are. They have that chance to alleviate, to create stress, to give us a variety of emotions, and to share those experiences so seamlessly with other people, even if it's just as like sharing my latest score that I earned in this game, or actually playing them together, or building a world together, or whatever it may be, right? It exists on a variety of levels. And so when I hear of your goal of wanting to really reach humanity, going into the gaming space for you seems so natural. It seems like such a great fit because that is where you get to experience humanity in all its greatness and all of its downfalls. And I am curious, like I love these big beautiful aspirations, but what is something specifically in this gaming space that you want to see changed? Maybe not right now. You're like, listen, I have a few more skills I need to build, or this is going to be a huge project, like this is going to be a life project, or whatever it is. But what is something that you would like to see come to place at some point in time during your life here as a gamer?
I would love to see more vulnerability. I think people's personal experiences, we as gamers, we find solace in a video game that we turn to something that we think is uniquely, that can give us something unique. And you know, I want, when I was in my Minecraft days, I wanted to make content because I wanted to really make people laugh. And I want to be able, I want a lot of things.
Be greedy.
But
Let's hear it all.
I want to be an Asian American woman in a male dominated, industry, so I can have a younger me look up and go, she has a story like mine. And that means that if there's someone out there that's like me, what she can do, I can also do. Because I didn't really know any Asian Minecraft YouTubers growing up. And it wasn't like it was a super big thing, but at the same time, I was always looking for someone who looked like me. And I still remember designing my skins. I would purposely take the skins and make them with black hair and brown eyes.
Yes.
And yeah, it was such a big thing for me that I want to be able to provide that for young Asian women. And especially right now, we are in such a time, specifically speaking for Vietnamese Americans, kids my age who are Vietnamese most likely have parents or grandparents who immigrated over to the United States because they were fleeing war. And they're struggling to navigate this very, very close connection that they have to Vietnam, to their parents' home country, while also navigating how to fit in this American world that is so different. And I struggle with it. One of the biggest frustrations I have is not learning Vietnamese. While I can understand it, I made a point to never learn how to speak it because I was embarrassed. I didn't want to put in that work. I wanted to spend more time trying to be an American or whatever that meant.
Yes.
So I want to sort of bring to light these conversations and meet other people who have these similar experiences, because I know I'm not alone in this. I've seen it, on social media, which is one thing that I do love about social media, is the interconnectedness. But if I can contribute to an ongoing conversation, if I can spark a conversation about something that I know a lot of people feel about but don't really talk about, I would love that. And in doing so, it opens up the gamer space for more vulnerability, because talking about yourself can be hard sometimes, especially it can be.
Yes,
it is.
it is. Definitely. Well, and that's because now you're inviting everyone to share their thoughts and their opinions on it. And sometimes it can be wonderful, right? That it then echoes back of individuals who want to share their own experiences because they've had this, or that it gives people more of a position of empathy. But it could also prompt insensitivity. It could prompt unkindness. It's you open that to a lot of challenges. Now, I love this vulnerability that you shared with us. And as an Asian American myself, I like that you pose those questions for yourself. And it's always going to be an ongoing evolution of like, what does it mean to be an American, especially right now, right? It's so hard. What does it mean to be an American? What does it mean to be a Vietnamese American? What does it mean to, and what does how does this work on the spectrum? So like my father is Chinese. And so another Chinese family moved to this very small town that they're in, and they were introduced, and he doesn't speak Mandarin. He only knows a little bit of Cantonese. And the woman goes, "Oh, then you're not Chinese." which is such a weird thing to hear, but like, because there's that language is a huge part of the culture, right? Of how we understand and express and the experiences that we have. And to be told you're not Chinese, whereas everybody else has told him, because he clearly looks Chinese, right? So where does how people see you, and how do you belong to spaces? How do you identify in those spaces? How do you express yourself in that? Yeah, I see you lighting up on that.
Yes, I mean, I've been told many times, especially because I like art, I like dyeing my hair fun colors. I don't enjoy doing 3 grades ahead in math. I've been told by
I was also bad at math and told, then you're not an Asian.
I was told I get called the white Asian.
Yes.
And I was like, what does that mean?
Right.
Is this an insult to my Asianness? Is this a compliment to someone's whiteness? What does being a white Asian mean?
Yeah.
It's clearly not a good thing.
No.
Because the connotation of this does not sound very nice.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
let's go delve deeper into that. Why do you think I'm an Asian person? Because I am an Asian person that has white qualities, because from just outright speaking, objectively, I am just an Asian. I have 2 Vietnamese parents that are from Vietnam. That makes me Asian. I don't have white, not that I know about, at least, maybe French because of colonialism. But but that being said, is why am I perceived as a white Asian? Because I like painting.
Yes. And who gets to apply this title and say, like, I think you're this?
And what does that say about the connotation of being Asian? Is being Asian only a certain monolith? Because the stereotypes prove that it is. And again, if you're, what are the qualifications, right?
Of the billions of Asians, we're all the same.
Exactly.
Most when they haven't traveled out of their hometown.
Yeah, and I can sympathize with the why people say these things about like, oh, you don't speak this language? Are you even this? Because they want to feel like they have their in-group, and that, oh, I have people that are really like me, because we all want to find that relatability in having someone like who is a little bit less qualified in a part that you feel makes you very much so part of that group. And I say you, of course, in general, it turns inward, and that you're not Asian is more so a reflection, I believe, on the insecurity of a person who has been rejected for some quality
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't fully measure to their Asianness.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing so, they start to create that standard for other people,
Right.
further perpetrating this idea that you have to be a certain way to be seen
Mm-hmm.
as Asian, when I think just being an Asian American is having Asian like blood and being an American citizen.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. You don't need to to do whatever or
Sure.
do things a certain way just to qualify your Asianness. Is
Mm-hmm.
it great to find people who are relatable like that? Like,
Right.
hey, I don't understand how people can walk in their house with their shoes on.
Right.
That's me. I don't understand that.
Your
And
house has to be so dirty. Like, I don't understand.
you walk outside in those.
Yes.
I don't get that.
Exactly. Thank you.
But even then, it's like that relatability is also not just exclusive to being an Asian person. I know plenty of like my white friends who take off their shoes in their house. So
Yes.
that level of relatability that we're searching for, you can find that in so many other different things.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look don't try to make that just one small group of things, because not only are you limiting yourself and you're not only are you limiting yourself and your perception of yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
you're also not giving other people enough credit, I believe, to be human. We're all human. Again, we
Yes.
find these groups that we go for,
Mm-hmm.
that we believe are just like us, but when we feel rejected by it, it hurts so much. But that's not fair to us, and that's not fair to them.
Mm-hmm.
We're hurt because we just want to feel included, and
Right.
I feel like that is the baseline of things. And because of that, I want to make a more inclusive space. I want to see this inclusivity where we can have candid discussions about people's point of views, while also recognizing the differences and also understanding we are human.
Right.
I just went on a long tangent.
Yeah. No. There's no tangents here. Everything is valid, right? Because we're exploring this. And identity is very difficult, not only to understand it within ourselves, which can evolve, right? Like over time, like how do I want to share, not only how do I understand myself, how do I then express it to others? Even simple things like as a bio, like when we share our bio out with other people, what do I choose to include? What do I see as an important aspect of myself? And who's this for, right? And so there are times where like I've seen myself as Asian American, right? But when I'm speaking to white people, I see that more. I feel more Asian. When I'm speaking to Asian, I'm like, I feel very white.
Yes. Oh my goodness. All my close friend group is all Asian. Like it again, I do find that relatability within the in group. And even then I'm like, there are some differences that make us still individuals at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Just yeah, like
Well, and let's be real, like who we connect with is important, because with our identity, especially when we share it with others, like there's one thing for us to accept and understand ourselves, and that's the most important part, for us to understand who we are and that we love and care for ourselves for who we see ourselves as being. But having meaningful relationships means that we share our identity with others, and that hopefully they confirm it, that they see it, and more than all, like not just like the monolith that it is, right? But that we are varied as individuals. That yes, I'm a woman. Yes, I am half Asian. Or yes, I also love games, and also I don't like this game, and also I'm going to school, like, and also I'm this. Like, there's so many components that make us, and in our relationships, to have them be meaningful, that they see all of those and they accept those.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I mentioned I'm an art kid. I'm part of the esports world. I have my, super studious Asian friends. I feel like I'm trying to navigate so many different worlds of trying to fit in and be more like them, that I don't want to be excluded for something that I feel makes me different. Like, yes, I tend to gravitate toward Asians people because I know that we share commonalities.
Yeah. Shared experiences. It makes for an easy bonding and understanding and support for one another.
Yes. And at the same time, it's really nice to be able to talk with like my white friends, because I go to a predominantly white school. and have them be receptive to my perspective on things without them, brushing me off and going, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you're just being sensitive. Grow up.
It
There's
was a
not actually
joke.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Having people actually listen, I think it allows me to talk about these things that I feel are important for other people to know, but they can also learn from that and understand us better. If we keep being separated, are we ever really going to learn?
And isn't it so nice? Yeah. Well, isn't it so nice when people reach out like, hey, was that okay? Let me know if I've crossed it. Like, that's such the nicest thing. Like, I don't have to say something, but you're advocating for me. And that is a true sign of a friend. Like, you're checking to make sure that you haven't crossed my boundaries, even if it is whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. Maybe like they called at a 3 a.m. because their boyfriend broke up with them. Like, hey, is that okay? I know that's not typically like our normal time. Like, I love it when people are like, I respect who you are. I want to make sure that I'm still respecting you in a way that you want to be respected.
Yes. And to admit that, hey, I might have screwed up here and I may have said something that could potentially hurt you. Can I fix this? Because I understand that this could impact you in a way that I didn't previously think could impact someone.
Yes.
Beautiful. We should have more of these conversations.
Keep listening. And it doesn't hurt to check. No one's ever been like, I'm so mad they checked with me. Right.
It's definitely hard to ask, hey, did I do something that could have hurt you?
Yes.
But
that's never our intention. But it's good to check.
Yes.
I have friends. I love to pick on them. Even in my stream, there's some of them I like to pick on. But like every now and then, I'm like, because so one of them is colorblind. He shared it. We allow like, and I'll change my game. Like my game is more colorblind friendly now because I want to make sure it's accessible and everybody can enjoy it. Smart thing to do. But there was one joke like, oh, you can't see it because you're colorblind, right? It was a quick little thing. But I also then messaged afterwards like, hey, at any point, if I cross any boundaries, please let me know because I want you to make sure that this is a place where you feel welcome. Like you have to be active in making sure that you check in on people. Just because you've been friends and maybe you've been able to make that joke before or you've been able to say that comment before doesn't mean that they're always going to be okay with it.
Yes.
There's like a soft, like almost prayer, like, yes.
And like, I think there's nothing wrong with asking questions because it shows that you're trying to make an effort. If you put an effort towards respecting someone and making them feel more welcomed, the person's going to see that.
Yeah.
They really are. And I can attest to that because the little things of, hey, can I post this picture? Your face is in it. Just wanted to make sure you consent to having your face. I'm like, thank you. That is, I see that as you respecting me as a human and making sure that I'm treated the way that I want to be. Yes.
And seeing like, that's you have the right? Like, I want to make sure I see you, I portray you, not just in our conversations with each other, but when I'm with other people, that I'm portraying you the way you want to be seen. Social media, friends, whatever it is. I love that. Kudos to your friend.
And not only that, oh yes, love. But I also think it's okay. I want to extend grace to people who do end up messing up. It's not to say that you have to be perfect and constantly, tiptoe or whatever, because anyone that is watching we all make mistakes. Again, we're human. We are fallible beings. That's normal. It's how we then take that mistake and turn it into something that is a learning experience, and you're able to take it and get something useful out of it. Because if there's any room, if there's something that bothers you, absolutely speak up about it, because how is that person going to know that this is something that's affecting you if you don't speak up about it? Because well, yes, okay, maybe like super insensitive jokes, maybe you shouldn't do that, but the little things. Yes. The little things. It's about
both of us to recognize. I'll say something and you also check in.
Exactly.
I really like this dynamic that you're highlighting in all of this, right? One, to make sure you're an advocate for yourself, but also surround yourself with people who are going to check in and advocate for you, right? They see you. That's the important thing of this. I also really like, as you talk about like how do we measure Asianness or anything like within groups, you touched upon how we seek for belonging, right? We want to belong to different groups. And as we try to find that inclusiveness and we create those like, yes, we are a group, there almost inherently become some boundaries. They can be permeable, and that's the trick, right? To make them permeable, but there are some boundaries that come up to say like, this is our group, this is not our group from it, right?
Yes. Yeah. In psychology, this is the thing that is like, oh, the in-group versus out-group, and that is originally because, of course, if something is super unfamiliar and not normal to us, we're going to treat it with suspicion to, survival instinct. And the people that are more like us, we're more familiar. We know,
exactly,
obviously. But I think now in the modern day, with how much we've advanced, there's still that biological aspect of in-group versus out-group.
yes.
And navigating that is so tricky because I absolutely agree. This is
Right.
it's
the challenge.
It is.
And let's note, having in-group and out-group isn't inherently bad.
No, yes.
It's necessary, right? Like that's how we have like family, right? Yes, your family. That weird guy down the street, the neighbor Steve, even though he shows up for all the family dinners, not family, okay? Right? Like
Yes.
family, like there are certain boundaries that we clearly have identified. And that is also good. Like even in communities, like stream communities, like the gamers, it has boundaries, right? Within this, we welcome people, but you know what? There are people who don't belong here. It's individuals who like to be incredibly cruel to others, who don't mind cheating in games, right? Like, it's clear, like, these are people, like, we're not your space. White supremacists, don't come around. Sorry, don't even waste your time, much less our time. Get out of here. Like, so sometimes we purposely set up boundaries, and that's okay. By having those boundaries, it helps us feel like we belong, and it helps us to recognize who doesn't belong, or what behaviors at least are not belonging. Like, yeah, you can be a part of this group, but you cannot participate in these behaviors. So
beautiful.
That's the challenge, right? Like, and you recognize like, yeah, in and out, how do we create and define who's our in-group? Who has a say as to who gets to be part of the in-group?
Yeah. And I have the answer to that because it varies from person to person. And we're never I don't think we're really gonna ever know that answer because it's a matter of perspective and personal belief.
Sure.
Right? Like the person who said, oh, you're not Asian because you don't know how to speak, like Mandarin. That's someone's boundary of where that in-group versus out-group is.
Yes.
Whereas someone else's is like, oh, there are some people who are like, oh, people who are like half Asian aren't really Asian. It's like, that's a boundary you're setting that not everyone agrees with, because not everyone does agree with. And that's weird. How do we navigate that? Because we're setting these boundaries because we want to feel more included, but we are also excluding people, but we're also... What behind all of this? What does this mean?
Yes, that's the hard part. And this is why we have dialogue on this, right? Like what we're doing right now, or within groups or within companies, right? Like when we say we want to improve the diversity of voices here, what does that mean? What does that look like? And I love that, like, again, for OpTic, it's like it's normalizing these experiences so it doesn't stand out and feel weird. That's what it looks like,
Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, what else can we do in this space to make it feel like, or that we can communicate these boundaries? Sometimes it's through actual rules, like when Facebook groups were more of a thing. When I was growing up, they were a thing. So, actually,
okay,
not even then. Like Facebook wasn't big until much later in my life. Anyway, so I've seen the rise and fall of Facebook groups. And LinkedIn groups. Okay. Well, they used to be things. But like you would write explicit rules, like who this is for, what kind of conversations would happen. And that would make it clear for everyone in that. Like, okay, if you're participating in it, it makes sense. Awesome. Right? Or when you're in a Discord, there are clear rules to say, yeah, you can be part of the in-group. All right. If you don't say these kind of things, as long as you don't break these rules, you're in. That's all it takes. Right? Even the gamers, like some people assume like with the gamers here that you have to be a woman to be part of the gamers. But really, you could be anyone as long as you're here to support women.
Shout out.
Men can also be a part of this, right? But that's like the challenge of, how do we know this? Well, it's because we're talking about it. We have to have discussions. All right. So it becomes a lot harder when we don't have like official groups, right? There's not like, we are the Asian group and we get to set
I
the
speak
rules.
for everyone.
Yes.
Because that's just not how that works.
The
right.
Board of Asians have spoken, right? Yeah. Wouldn't that be really interesting what that looks like? I think there was like some comedy skit that was like, there was like a jury of Asians to help determine like, are you Asian enough? Like, and it was like looking over your ACT scores and dumb things like that. Yeah, if I find it, I'll send it to you because you'll get a kick out of it. But like, that's the challenge of saying, like, within groups, how do we do this? And then there's those who aren't Asian at all, right? Like, they're like, I clearly am not. But then how do we address? How do we talk? How do we see and help identify and help you express, right? That's because it's not just the internal within these groups. It's now those who are in the out group. How do they interact with those in the in group?
Exactly. Absolutely. I think honestly what we're doing right now, having two Asian women talk about how they view what it means to be in an in-group and an out-group. It expands a person's perspective on things, because you're never going to get it right, because there is no right way.
Yes.
There's no one right way.
Dang it.
But I really wish there was, because if there was, it would be so much easier to feel included and to feel heard.
Yes.
But the nuance is that, like, I think accepting that we'll never know the true right way.
If that even exists out there, right?
Right. I think it's more so just being able to listen, and maybe someone out there doesn't agree with what you have to say, and okay, that's fine. We're going to navigate this in a way that, how can we feel both heard, right?
Yes.
I don't know a lot about this myself, because growing up in a predominantly white school, it was more so for me that boundary was, are you Asian? Whether you're Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Filipino, doesn't matter. We're all Asian here.
Yes.
Or are you white? And then you look deeper into like my Asian friend group, and it's like, I'll be in a Discord call and then they'll all start speaking Chinese. And I'm like,
wait.
No, I don't know how to speak this. No, someone translate.
Yes.
And
or the assumption that we all like boba tea.
Yeah, I do have an addiction to that, I will say, but I've always liked it since I was little. I liked it before school.
Okay, fair. All right, whatever. No, but yeah, and I like this. Like, there's the nuance of that, like where we just have to discuss and recognize, again, the humanity of us allows us to be diverse, complicated individuals. We're not just one thing. How we exist does not, and so like, don't just try to understand. We're like, oh, that's the Asian girl. There's so much more.
We are individuals. Yes. At the end of the day, it's an individual level that you have to look at from person to person. While there are many commonalities that, like in my Asian friend group, we all share, like none of us know how to drive. Which is a huge thing that I found, like so many of us don't know how to drive, but that's not the case for all people. And that shows like, yeah, okay, there's nuance. There's relatability, and then deeper into it, there's the individual. So recognizing that and being able to separate, I think, group from person is perhaps, I guess, how we can sort of navigate how to see the in-group versus out-group.
Yes.
I see my friends admitting they, you do speak Chinese, and I don't understand it, and no one translates. I'll speak Vietnamese, the little Vietnamese that I do know, and you'll feel excluded.
Boom, done. There you go. Now you'll feel so bad about it. But like, you don't even think about it. And like, again, it's one way to feel inclusive, and that can be great. Like for individuals, you're like, I want someone to speak Mandarin with. Like there's something that's really great about it. Connecting, it's another form of, relationship building within it. So awesome. But again, also exclusive depending on who's in your group.
Yes. And I think looking on the broader scope of gaming and esports, you have these people that all identify themselves as gamers, and I think that's how you identify yourself as a gamer is, oh, you play video games. Okay, that's a general thing that we can all agree on. And going back to what you said, there's rules. Don't cheat. Don't be toxic.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that I think, I guess, they make identity a lot easier to navigate, because I still don't know how I would identify myself, really.
Right.
I struggle what it means to be an Asian American. Mm-hmm. What does it mean to be a Vietnamese American? What does it mean to be a Vietnamese American woman? Mm-hmm. All of these things that I feel very lost in. So I go and I seek people who are like me to understand that. Mm-hmm. And I think simultaneously realizing that perhaps, even though I find that relatability, at the end of the day, I'm still me with my own self, that I have to make that for my identity. I have to make my own identity. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to have to navigate that somehow.
Yeah. Well,
we all are going to have to navigate that.
Yeah, we all will. And it's always going to evolve. That's okay. And we're allowed to, because fortunately, who I was at 12 was not the same person as who I am now.
Ooh,
thank goodness, right? Like, or my understanding of myself, right? And that will change in the dynamics of spaces. I learn more about myself, or who I want to be, and even who I wanted to be. Maybe it was great for me at 24, but it's not great for me at my age now. It's different, and that's okay. It didn't mean that what I was then was bad, or how I viewed my Asianness or my gamerness or whatever it was, my academic side, and how I viewed myself as a scholar. Like, that worked for me then. Here's how I view being a scholar looks like now in my life. Whether that changes how I view and understand myself, and then changes how I act it out in life, how I choose to hang around with, how I change my language within this space. So it's not that we have to we have to evolve out of necessity because what we are is bad, but it's because we get new information and we have new experiences. We're new people with each new moment, which is kind of refreshing. And thank goodness, because I was pretty dumb at some points in my life.
There are people who still remember me from elementary school. And again, that is not something.
Not the same.
I wish.
You don't need glue anymore, right? Right?
Yeah. Well, listen here.
Yeah, we can't confirm or deny what is happening at this point with the glue eating process. But yeah. Right, so that gives us a lot more freedom to be happy in a moment.
It does. It does. And that sort of goes back to the reason I think about this a lot. I think about what makes us people, and what similarities and differences, and how that all makes us. And because we're all sort of just trying to get through life and grow, shouldn't we just be nice to each other? While that does look different for everyone, the general thing that we can agree on is giving someone the room to grow, and a second chance. Or, of course, there are exceptions. I understand. Again, there's nuance, but for the most part, being able to recognize that the person that you disliked when they were 6 years old is much different from who they are now. And I have friends where I'm like, remember the time that I thought you were super mean because you wouldn't let me kill that bug back in the fitness trail?
I remember that.
Yeah. Yes, I remember this very specific thing. And then I just grew up and I was like, man, this person. And then I'm like, wait, I'm gonna give this person, just be nice to this person. And now I'm happy to say that she's one of my very close friends, and that's something we can look back on and laugh, because that's so silly. And I hope that we can do that with people that we see as differences are bad. And because what is bad differences?
Right. And you make a good point, recognizing the nuance too, right? So it's you know what, you're growing, you're beyond that. That doesn't always mean I have to be in your life for that to experience your new wonderful change side. But yes, or that we get the choice to say, you know what, let's re-enter into this friendship agreement.
Remember that one time?
Yeah. Or neither, this just wasn't the right place, where it was the Goldilocks scenario. It was a little too hot or it was a little too cold, but now we're at a point where like it's perfect. Like this is prime friendship space. We both have the time to engage and talk to one another and invest emotionally into one another. Perfect. Awesome. Now this can blossom in a healthy, wonderful, supportive friendship that we've been looking for. That's great. And it's recognizing who we are and how the other is, because it's so easy to recognize like our own complexities. It's so much harder to see those complexities in others.
Yes. Yes. And that's because we're using, I think, our perspective to view other people. And again, what I'm saying right now, maybe someone's like, no, that's just not true. That's your perspective, I guess. That doesn't mean that you're wrong or I'm right. There is, and I love how we spent so much of this conversation just ended up talking about what it means to be a human and a person within a space.
It's messy.
Because it is. It's so messy. And I would love to hear like what other people have to say about their experiences. I love having these discussions because there isn't really a clear answer. It's more so just an ongoing questionnaire that we're all trying to answer for ourselves until we find something that makes sense to us and helps us cope with the unknown stuff in life.
Doesn't it make it more exciting that way too, though? Like, by far more interesting. As messy as it may be, like we don't want everyone to be just like ourselves and have the same experiences. Have you seen Edward Scissorhands?
I have not.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, in the opening scene, no spoilers here, don't worry. In the opening scene, it's like this drone view of a neighborhood. And all the houses look the same, much like most of suburban America, right? Where there's like 3 style of homes and they all follow that. And there's this very clear color scheme, right? They all probably have the same layouts on the inside. Everyone's backyard is the same space, right? There's set consistency. And it's so uninteresting to see because it's all the same, right? Yeah. Like neighborhoods where there's one dilapidated house, there's one that has random flamingos out, that one has a porcupine collection for whatever reason. Even though we're in, Michigan, that person has a really strange cacti collection. Like, it seems strange, it looks weird, it doesn't go together, but it's by far more interesting to walk around that neighborhood than to go around the one neighborhood where every house looks the same.
100%. And if we're only seeing the houses that look the same, we're not going to realize that there is other ways that you can decorate your house, that there are other houses that you can move into that don't look that one same style. But the only way you're ever going to know that another design, or taking the suburban, for example, what about a Tuscany, house? What about a modern house? What about
Hobbit hole?
What about Exactly.
Yes.
I didn't even think of that until you mentioned that, which is point proven.
Go move to a neighborhood that lets you be you. That's the metaphor we're going for, right? Like that you can paint your house whatever color you want and the HOA isn't going to dock you for it.
I was just about to say that. I was like, the HOA, I'm going to paint my whole house a neon green.
Yeah. Suck it, HOA. Go ahead. Yeah. But that's the part, because sometimes we find ourselves in a community that tells us like, oh, well, this is how we do things. And that's it. Right. And even sometimes we see this from people that we love and we care about. We see this from sometimes we have friends who have parents who are like, you can't dye your hair that color. It's only natural colors, right? Like there's restrictions, or you can't go into that career. It's not going to make money. Well, first of all, probably it can make money. Oh, art degrees don't make money.
We are literally
have you seen? Yeah, gaming doesn't make money. Yes, it does. It does make money. So growing the industry is so fascinating right now. Great. So find your place where not only can you do what you want to be yourself in that, but you find others that inspire and also being themselves. Yes. Yeah, it's so much easier to do that than to be that in that cookie cutter neighborhood where you're trying to stand out, and every time you do something that's true to you, you get fined.
Because the more times you get fined, the less and less you're going to want to step out of that boundary, because you tell yourself it's just going to end up fine. Might as well just stay in my little house, not try to do anything new, not try to see anyone else's houses. And then that's just going to be the rest of your life.
Yep. You're going to run out of money. That money being your joy, your passion, your actual energy around
Yes.
it. All of that.
Yes. Yeah. And I think you asked me how I keep my energy. This is the stuff that goes on that, frankly, can either give me a lot of energy or make me feel really alone when I'm by myself, wondering, why am I here? Do my friends like me? What's going on?
From what I see in the chat, the answer is they're in love with you.
The people, and I'm gonna remember who showed up and who stayed and who made that effort, because
right.
that means a lot to me on an individual level.
Right. Yes. I mean, that's so important of it when we talk about, like, I see them there in chat. You guys are good people. But it's important to know, like, when we say, like, I'm there for you, like, actually showing up or like actually providing that support. Like, there's a huge difference of where that comes in. And you've got to. And the lurkers. I'm sorry, Passander. Okay. And
Shout out lurkers.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
We do. We really do. Because just being here, this is a chance where we get to elevate these stories, where we get to take it in for ourselves. That makes us reflect on who we are, lurking or not.
And that, that reminds me that I'm not alone. And I'm not alone in this feeling. And this, no matter what the world feels like at the end of the day,
sure,
there are still other people that probably feel the same way, and yet can still find a way to love in this world that is so very difficult. And it's wonderful. It's refreshing. That gives me the energy to keep trucking along, is that I'm going to keep meeting people who will come into my life and give me immense joy. And at the same time, it's also going to be difficult, but there are people that are going to come into your life, give you immense joy, and then they're going to be gone. And maybe that won't end well on when they, disappear or leave. But finding a way to keep going on despite being fined so many times, right? Like in these suburban, just finding that courage to step out of the house and try something again. That's just, let's appreciate that.
Yes.
And I thank the people who do appreciate me and all my weirdness and weird questions. I'll DM someone randomly and be like, hey, this is a really random thought. And then they'll take it. They'll be receptive to it. They'll listen. And I'm like, thanks. This was really stupid. But you listened without judgment. You didn't try to tell me, oh, Trinity, that's so stupid. You're like, oh, let's go with it.
Mm-hmm.
What if ants did have feelings?
They don't? I assumed they did. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. I was like, what? That's the thing, is I was like, let's talk about that. That's just a fun, interesting thing.
Yes.
That seems pointless, but it's just having a conversation with a normal human being that is so cool.
Yes. But there's something that's really nice in that too. Let's recognize it, because we'd like to say, like, okay, this person's just weird, asking, do ants have feelings? But on the flip side of that, this, as important as it is to have our serious conversations, right? Like about identity or who we are or the challenges, the fears we have, that imposter syndrome that exists. And that's a great form of vulnerability. It is also wonderful to have that vulnerability to be silly.
Yes.
That's surprisingly, when I engage with others, that is equally as hard. Sometimes that's harder for people to recognize their silly side and want to share it with others.
Whenever I make a joke and someone looks at me like, I'm like, my bad. That hurt.
Yep. Yes.
That's cool though.
Yes. Yeah. And they just brush it off, and it hurts because That was a form of vulnerability. You were offering a degree of authenticity of being like, hey, here are some weird thoughts that I have in my head. Do ants have feelings? Which honestly, I see that as a legitimate question. Like, I would think possibly, why not? To me, hunger's a feeling. How it impacts
True.
me, it is. So they clearly have hunger. Do they get also
True, this is
snippy when
true.
they haven't been eating in a while? They get jealous? Sure, why not? That ant has a bigger crumb than I do. This seems unfair. I could write whole narratives around the ant fights that I've seen on my kitchen table.
Yes. Yes. I have always wondered if the queen dies, what happens? Because that's technically like their leader, right? Do they
Yes.
nominate another one? Do they have elections?
I would like to see this whole story play out. But how is the hierarchy done? Isn't one doesn't she turn? Oh gosh, hold on.
I don't know anything about this. Again, this question was like at 3 a.m.
Did your biology teacher perhaps drop in by the chat? Are they there? Can we ask them?
I don't think so.
Dang it. Okay, I was like, they should know, right? Come on. Does anyone know how the next queen is chosen? Someone Google it for us.
Friends. You guys know something about science?
Yes. Is it democracy? Probably not. I think it's something like because there's some queen eggs that are there, but they do not hatch, or they are. You did talk about ants and apes today. Oh my God. So somebody wasn't paying attention in lecture. You were in another meeting. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
So Mango, you have the answer then because you were paying attention, right?
Well, what was the answer?
Yeah, it was systems. It was on the worksheet. Sweats nervously. Pop quiz. All right, but Sandra thinks it's similar to bees. Like the next queen is hatched after and fed a special diet. Okay, that would make sense because you can't have multiple. Oh gosh.
From a trustworthy source, succession to the British throne is determined by descent, sex, note 1, legitimacy, and religion. Under common law, the crown is inherited by a sovereign's children. I don't think this is the queen bee, Justin.
I don't think bees and ants are Catholics, so this is already thrown out. I have yet to see a Pope ant. I would actually really like to see an ant now dressed up as the Pope. Can you imagine the tiniest hat you would have to make out of that? Like the little rhinestones you'd have to include? Not the Queen of England, like literally the Queen Bee. Oh my God. All right, we have the real answer. Gunner's very good at Googling, find us the truth. Queens are decided while still in the egg. The original queen will lay worker eggs and future queen eggs. There's no data to suggest the diet affects this fate at all. Queens are instantly recognizable, differing at birth. Okay. All right. So she's okay. Given the right time, it happens. Indian ants occur. Caste switching occurs after the queen's death. Oh, pheromones. Okay. All right.
They do fight each other.
All right. The ants fight to the death. I love this. This is even. All right. In dueling tournaments.
Dude, ants PvP?
Yes, they do. The ant PvP fight. This is what we have been dying for.
Oh my gosh.
This lasts more than a month? These are month-long fights?
The girls are fighting.
The guys could never. For a whole month long? This is hilarious. See, this is why you ask the weird, silly questions, because they will take you down to routes that you may not know the information to. This is exciting.
And in turn, you get to feel like, I feel like you get that closeness that it's like, we were able to do that weird thing together, and that was cool.
Yes.
And I cherish that. Mm-hmm. I love being able to make authentic connections with human beings. And if that means asking a question about an ant, so be it.
so be it. It gives us the information that we may not have known any other way.
Exactly.
Especially in brainstorming. I mean, we know like within good brainstorming, they're like, people like don't shut down information beforehand. Just throw out everything, all of the weird stuff, because you don't know. Maybe the weird thing isn't the thing that we go with, but it gets our brains thinking in a different perspective.
I don't know if Zach is still here, but like there was one part where he was like, it has to be a brainstorm, not a brain stop. And that means don't stop the brain from thinking.
Yes.
Type of deal.
Yes.
And I was like, that's so true. Just say anything.
Yes. Don't even think about
Maybe
like,
you'll get
can we do
somewhere.
this? Do we even have the money for this? Don't worry about that. Throw it out there, put it on the board, and then we can start doing things and crossing things off once we see everything on there.
And that hope makes me so excited
Mm-hmm.
because like there's someone out there that's willing to
Mm-hmm.
listen to the silly, goofy wackiness that's out
Yes.
there in the world.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that about humans. I definitely want to study psychology, as you can tell.
Yes, clearly.
Because I think it'll help me to as well understand how to live life in a fulfilling way where I don't feel like I'm lost wandering around wondering what the meaning of life is. Maybe I should go outside and actually like be with people because I don't know
I
if
thought you were gonna
kids
say
my
be
age
with
are worrying
ants.
about this. Oh, maybe I should.
I'm just gonna hang out with the ants now. You're gonna stick your own fight, become the queen of the ants.
That is my villain origin story, actually.
Yes. Yes, it is. No, but okay. Keep this line of thought. Don't let me throw you on a
Yeah.
tangent. All right, go out, being with your friends.
Yeah.
Keep going.
You asked me how I balance my work home
Mm-hmm.
life. I want to make time for the people that I want to give back to the people that have given me like stuff that I couldn't give myself,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally or physically or mentally, whatever that may be. And I'm like, there is not enough time in the world for me to do this because I want to go around giving everyone an individualized gift that is personal to this person to show that I care. And there's so many people that I want to do it to. I don't have enough time. How do I show you that I genuinely have so much care for you
Right.
while also being realistic about it?
Running forward with time, you're like, yeah, I'd love to buy everyone personalized tickets. Like, I would love to buy you tickets to the next Lady Gaga concert. Turns out I don't even have money to buy myself a ticket.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Or you'd love to go to their game. Maybe they're playing in a soccer game. You're like, I'd love to go to the tournament to cheer you on, but I cannot get there, or I have to work. Right? Like that's the realistic part that makes it difficult.
Yes, yes. And the fact that people understand that, okay, the reason you're really bad at texting is because you just have a lot of things going on. It's all right. That understanding, that allowance to for the person,
Mm-hmm.
it it goes a long way. And that's maybe somehow where a way that I can repay that.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think you, in many ways, are. I really see this the way that you were talking to your wonderful, kind friends in chat, the way that you share your ideas and trying to be thoughtful in what you bring to the table, not just only to yourself and how this feeds back into you, but how much you're not just impacting your world, but the world, right? As this trickles out. You are in a position with OpTic Gaming, which let's be real, if you're in the gaming space, you've heard of OpTic. OpTic has a huge reach. They're impressive. There's a reason why people know what OpTic Gaming is. And you are there at a space that has a massive reach and you can influence things. And it's so wonderful to see individuals like you who are inspiring, that don't just see like the small day-to-day tasks, which is important, right? Like of normalizing good behaviors, of being inclusive, of having tough conversations, having that vulnerability, but also allowing that then to be the standard in which that trickles out to others. That as when we started at the core at influential centers like OpTic, that becomes like, well, this is how we do things in the gaming space. It works here. It should work elsewhere.
The standard is the standard,
Mm-hmm.
and we expect nothing less. I think Hex's story is so wonderful
Mm-hmm.
because you watch it happen. He he pursues he drops his daytime job and just pursues his passion, and that is so inspirational and very vulnerable. And now he's built the brand that is OpTic Gaming,
Yes.
and that's so awesome. That's so wonderful. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Someone out there can do that, and to be able to work for someone as personable as like Hex,
Yes.
the Hector. That is so crazy. Same with Hastro and these.
You could
crazy...
list everyone. Don't do that.
I could. I'm about to. This is not the Oscars. This is not the Oscars.
Not the Oscars. We passed award ceremony.
Yes. Yeah. Being a part of something huge makes me want to continue that.
Right.
That push, that catalyst to keep making big things, big moves, inspiring people.
I love that. You are inspiring. You really are. You are.
I feel like I just talked and
that's how a lot of these things happen. As it turns out, on a talk show, you talk. So, no, but I joke, but talking is one thing, but you offered value tonight. This seems very consistent with your brand, let's be real. But it's good to see someone like yourself being active, being purposeful in your actions. And I want to thank you for that. And I hope that you continue to keep that energy and that you have people around you who celebrate who you are in that space, so that way you feel that you can keep doing it. Even if you can, sometimes we can barrel through even when we don't feel supported, but it's easier when you do have that support. So I hope that continues to be around you, so that way we can continue to soak in the energy that is Trinity. Where can we find you?
I am on all platforms, Trin Din Nguyen. I can pop it in the chat.
Please do.
That's my Twitch name that is not real, because I made it when I was really young, so don't go look at it.
Got it.
But yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Bailey.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I was like, what?
You can find me that on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as of recently. And I hope that I can also branch out and start making YouTube content and furthering whatever may come.
Anything and everything. But that's the thing. Keep your doors open and be ready to run through all of them, or whichever ones you want. Let's say that. How about that?
Thank you so much for having me, Pasta Phoenix. This was so wonderful.
Everyone, yes, as Bailey's mentioning, make sure that you are following Trinity on all of her socials. Take in that opportunity to soak in the knowledge that she has to offer. This is a space where it's so important to make sure that you surround yourself and even your content, right? We soak in so much social media content all the time. Make sure it's a feed that inspires you, that encourages you. That's important. Yeah, Justin, I'm pretty sure you're right. We're not going to fact check that at all, because whatever. It is illegal if you don't follow Trinity. This is, yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned this, Bailey, our intern of the year.
It is a dream. It is.
Now this is your Oscar moment.
I would like to thank.
No, but seriously.
You can go watch my speech on YouTube at Trin Din Nguyen.
Yeah.
Plug there. There's my speech.
There it is. There it is. Go watch it. But this is so important, because individuals like you get nominated, you get voted for time and time again because you make changes, because you inspire people, because you've done good work. And so I'm serious. Tell everyone out here, make sure you're following on socials. Stay tuned in, because Trinity's career is just going to skyrocket from here. It's hard to imagine somebody who's so driven, who has such a vision. We would be at a loss as a gaming community to lose you to any other industry. We're going to dig our claws in. You can't leave us. You're too good. We can't afford to lose great individuals like you. So everyone, give her a round of applause. 10 out of 10, hands down, absolutely amazing. So thank you.
Oh, really?
Don't cry. Well, you can cry. Actually, you know what? Crying is perfectly acceptable. We're not going to ever tell people what they can't do. We support this. But I don't want to take any more of your time. It is 9 p.m. here out on the East Coast, which means our show is over. We're wrapping up.
I have I have an assignment due at 11:59. It's okay. I have to go back to being a high schooler.
Yeah. Swap back and forth. Switching hats right here. Yes. So go work on your assignment that's due at 11:59 p.m. Eastern or whatever, Central Texas time, right? But be amazing. You all also be freaking amazing. Next week, we might have a slightly different time schedule, but we will have a pink pixel. So be sure to join us, because remember, spaces like this are important. They allow us to ground ourselves. They allow us to empathize and learn of the amazing stories from others. They give us perspective. They give us energy. So I expect to see you all around next week. I'll see you all later.
Better.
Bye, everyone.
Yay.